People who drive cars and motorcycles with loud mufflers should get tickets for noise pollution. I have a neighbor who has a muscle car and I swear, you can hear him drive it for when he is a mile away. Another neighbor who has a small child with health problems, it's relevant because sleep and sensory overload, asked him to tune it down but he said no, I like it loud. It doesn't make you more manly if you drive a motorcycle that wakes up sick old people and scares children. This is not strictly enforced everywhere, but there are specific laws about that almost everywhere in Europe. I can't stand those loud mufflers either, that's why I just straight up used a Sawzall on mine. The hardest part is carrying a spare pair of underwear for when they rev their engines at the stoplight. /S. My catalytic converter was stolen off my last truck. Considering I would have been able to sell it for a can of bacon grease with an intact exhaust system, I decided not to drop $1,000 on replacing it. Don't worry, even us muscle car owners hate them. There's a difference between sound/performance upgrades and just being a douche with open pipes. You would have hated the 50s to 80s then, man. This is illegal in many places. I've ridden motorcycles for over 30 years and I can tell you that whenever cyclists get together in groups, one of their chief complaints is how many tickets they get as a result of their exhaust. I don't really have a big issue with loud mufflers except in residential areas and at night. Some douche across the street recently got a Harley and just sits there revving it in his fucking driveway and then goes 70 down the residential streets where all the kids ride their bikes. GF has stopped me from putting loose gravel all over the road where he turns in and out. They do. Nah. Instead, make it a law that anyone within earshot of a driver deliberately driving a loud car or motorcycle has to make that what a jag-off gesture using their right hand while rolling their eyes, under threat of a $50 fine. Yes. I live next to a 3-lane road and people like to pretend it's a racetrack every day and night. I'm woken up before the sun comes up almost every goddamn day because some asshole wants to rev his engine loud as fuck doing 80 down the road. It's fucking irritating. So I have a couple of cars that are stupid loud. Not because they are made to be stupid loud but just because that is the nature of a high compression V8. But I do go to reasonable lengths to make them as quiet as is practical. They have mufflers and a mostly complete exhaust system. I also don't drive my junk around the neighborhood at all hours with the hammer down. But I will confess that even at idle it's probably the loudest thing most people have ever heard. So I do what I can to keep it civilized and only open it up at the track where it spends most of its time anyway. But yeah, shit is loud. Totally agree if it's in a populated area and the person is being deliberately annoying. Here in CA we actually have a law on this now. Noise can't be over a certain amount, just came in this year but I don't know how enforced it is. I have a loud car and do my best not to be stupid around housing areas, just wish others would do the same. I know that my city has this law, the main problem is that it's up to the officer to determine if the vehicle is too loud, not an actual measuring device, so now even stock cars and bikes are being pulled over. It might also be better if this was for certain hours of the day/night. I own a scooter with a 2-stroke engine and an old muffler. Even grandmas without their hearing aids know I'm the coolest kid in town at 2 in the morning. There are laws about it, but the police don't bother. Nothing makes me cringe more than Honda Civics with loud exhaust. Agreed. We have one ass in our neighborhood that likes to rev it in the driveway at stupid hours of the early morning. It doesn't make you cool, it just sounds like the muffler is broken and you are too cheap/can't be fucked to fix it. There is a motorcycle that drives past my apartment complex once a day and it's so loud that all the car alarms go off when it drives by. Every day. In many cities they do get tickets. In Edmonton they have noise meters beside many stop signs and if you are over a certain decibel you get a photo ticket for a few $100. I like cars that make a bit more sound when you're really stepping on the gas, but some people, especially a lot of people in the US, really overdo it. Things like straight pipes are just dumb and annoying. As a male with a loud motorcycle, it's not about manliness, it's an uncontrollable urge to let people know I exist. It's a pitfall because I desperately need people to like me, but my loud motorcycle doesn't display my vulnerability clearly enough. I agree they're really fucking annoying. California has surprisingly strict laws about vehicle noise, they're just weakly enforced. As a person with migraines who works next to a downtown intersection, I agree. Well, I personally like loud exhausts, but there is a company called Army Tricks who sell exhausts that allow you to close some valves in the exhaust, making it quieter all with the press of a button, but the reason you don't see them as much is because they are ridiculously expensive and they don't sound good on some cars. We have laws for this where I live. The only vehicle they car to issue the ticket to are little ricer cats with fart cans. Otherwise cops don't care how loud it is. We have some neighbors behind us who are a-holes for many reasons that will take years to list. One of them is in a motorcycle gang and we always know what time it is in the morning because of him. At around 4:30 to 4:40 a.m., he starts up his loud as hell motorcycle. Then around 10 to 20 minutes later, he rams it up as loud as he can and drives off. I usually try to fall asleep around that time, but I can't until that loud motorcycle leaves. We also live next to a highway as well, which doesn't help much. This is a thing in Vermont. You'll see a big ass motorcycle but they aren't as loud as they look. In LA, I secretly wish people with loud motorcycles hit a fucking tree. It legitimately is ear-piercing. You have hold your conversation because it's so loud. I work in sound and I need my ears to make money. Fucking fuck those guys. Fuck 'em. Whistle tips. Woo woo woo. I was sitting at a table of an outdoor tiki bar with friends when this dude pulls up with a 70s era muscle car. He puts it in park as close to the fenced-in area as possible and starts revving the engine. Each time he revs, a thick plume of dark smoke billows out of the exhaust. It smelled like he was burning oil. And, of course, we were downwind of it. A-hole does this for way too long. Seemed like 5 minutes, but it was probably just one. But it was so loud, I couldn't hear any comments from the people I was sitting with. Eventually the dude moves his car to a parking spot and gets out. Mullet, wife beater, aviator sunglasses, the whole shebang. This bar was not my normal hangout. I had no idea if people there liked this sort of thing. So I keep my voice low as I express my dislike of this guy to my friends. As he makes his way onto the patio, I start hearing booing from various corners. Eventually, it growing into a full-blown crowd bashing, including the obligatory, "You suck," from somewhere in the crowd. Dude does the classic, stand in the middle of the bar, double middle finger at full mast and spin routine. And then, he sat down at a table with two people who were already there. They looked mortified. They looked like they just wanted to shrink under the table and crawl away. At the time, I actually felt bad for a-hole's companions, but now it's just funny to me.